And welcome back to another episode of Underdog Podcast. Happy Friday. The weekend's around the corner. Hopefully, you guys got something planned, something to do with your life. Then again, fuck the weekend. Every day is a goddamn weekend. Mine's the days that you work. No, I'm playing. Every day is weekend. Every day is a day to celebrate. Every day is a day to be happy. So, as you see in today's topic for the episode of the day, gotta talk about the truth about money, man. I figured it was fitting. Plus it wasn't too much in the news cycle that I really wanted to talk about. I mean, there's things to talk about, but I was like, I feel like since we were talking about the 1.9 trillion COVID-19 relief package, 1.9 trillion, it's a lot of goddamn money. So kind of want to talk about, well, what the hell actually is money, especially obviously United States of America. We're talking about the United States dollar. For those of you overseas, I'm sure your governments have the fiat currencies as well. And we're going to kind of dive into that. And fuck it, let's go right into it because, oh, it's a lot to talk about. It's a lot to talk about. All right, I got a video here from, who's it from? 365 Careers. Whatever, never heard of them. Doesn't matter. They never heard of me either. So it says a brief history of money from gold to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. So I wanted to show you guys this. It's a nice little wrap up. I think the video is 6 minutes long, so it's a nice little synopsis of what money is essentially. All right, let's go ahead and play it.
Let's consider the concept of money as an abstraction. Money is as old as human civilization, and civilization itself is reliant on possessing ways in which to exchange, account for, and transfer value.
So money and medium of exchange.
What once started as barter trade.
So your medium of exchange, your store of value, your unit of account. It's that simple, right?
Goods was replaced using standardized token money. Natural choices for money. Actually, they fit the bill so well that they were the primary form of money for centuries across the globe and have been
Did I skip a part? Did it skip on its? It just skipped on its own. But anyway, so obviously for a majority of modern human history, it's been gold, silver, physical commodities.
Instilled in human culture. I bet when I say gold, you instinctively think of value or wealth.
And the gold
After
in your
this
body.
came paper money, a more user-friendly way to carry and move around value compared to precious metals.
So we said paper money, a more user-friendly way to carry around stores of value. Now the more user-friendly way obviously is cryptocurrencies, digital currencies, because everyone has a phone, a smartphone, a device, some type of electronic device, a debit card, credit card, something like that, where you're just exchanging or you're using a medium of exchange in the store of ones and zeros. That's it now. So money is moving around the world in the values of ones and zeros in technology.
Adopted in the 7th century. However, the Western world didn't catch up on this monetary innovation until Marco Polo introduced it to Europe around the 13th century.
Polo.
Even then, the first European banknotes weren't issued until the 17th century. It took people several centuries to accept the new paradigm at the time and shift from gold and silver coins to banknotes backed by these same precious metals as the widely used form of money. This led to the birth of the gold standard. The banknotes themselves didn't hold any intrinsic value like gold or silver coins do.
So when we're talking about banknotes, you're talking about not Federal Reserve. You're talking about before then in different parts around the world, different governments, whatever. So you would go to a bank, correct? You would go to a bank, and instead of carrying your gold around, nobody wants to be carrying gold around and stuff. You get all your shit stolen and taken. Plus, it's heavy. I mean, let's be honest, it's heavy. It's not really user friendly. It's not convenient to carry around all that gold. So you go to the bank, put your gold in the bank, and then you have a bank note saying that, okay, or a bank reserve note saying that you have X amount of gold within our bank, within your account. And here's some paper saying basically this is what you have on reserve. So this paper is a representation of the physical amount of gold that you have withheld in your actual physical bank account. Now, how the fuck we go from there to here is interesting, right? All right.
Paper money was backed by precious metals like gold and silver stored in a treasury vault somewhere. Think Fort Knox. The banknotes represented the right to collect
Think
said
Fort
precious
Knox,
metal
the place where there is no gold anymore. Oh, shit.
from a bank. More convenient than taking a wheelbarrow of gold bullion to the post office to pay the mortgage. This was the case until 1944. At the end of World War II, yet another related system was introduced, the gold exchange standard, under the Bretton Woods Agreement. This meant that many countries fixed their national currency's exchange rates to the U.S. dollar, which was in turn convertible to gold at a fixed rate. Not only that, but this convertibility was no longer available to individuals or companies, only to central banks. However, the Bretton Woods system ended in 1971 when the U.S. dollar convertibility to gold was terminated.
So now you have to ask yourself, why have the Bretton Woods Agreement, and why have the Bretton Woods Agreement taken off as far as the gold standard? And I mentioned this on one of the episodes of the podcast where I literally talked about the new Bretton Woods Agreement 2.0. And it's not my words. That's coming from the IMF. It's coming from the European Central Bank as well? I believe so. If not, definitely the IMF, definitely Bank of International Settlements in conjunction with the IMF. I'm sure World Bank is thrown in there somewhere as well.
The gold standard and commodity-linked money. Paper money is no longer backed by gold or anything else tangible, but just faith.
Faith.
Welcome to the world of fiat.
Faith. So now, obviously, in present modern day times, United States of America, other countries around the world that operate on fiat currency. Fiat meaning, I forget the actual, fiat meaning government backed, basically. And like the person just said in the video, faith. So now our money is backed by nothing. I told y'all, man. I think I mentioned this before, that I didn't have an argument, but I was doing a presentation in my class. It was like it was like 2 years ago, because last year, school didn't exist because of fucking COVID. So I was explaining to my teacher in the class, about money. And I know there was some kids in there, literally kids, because they were in high school. So, they were trying to do like college classes over the summer and stuff. So they had to be like probably in their junior going into your senior year. So you're talking about 17-year-olds, possibly 18-year-olds, whatever. And then even older people is my age and older than me, within their 50s and stuff like that. And I was explaining it to the teacher. I was like, no, I was like, our money is backed by nothing. She's like, no, that can't be right. I was like, you look up yourself. I don't know what to tell you, but I was like, it's not backed by anything. And I wasn't even talking about money. I was trying to explain the theory behind a resource-based economy, something that Jacques Fresco in the Venus Project talks about. But I was trying to explain to her how it doesn't matter. Like, when it comes down to the sharing of resources and economy and land and stuff around the world, it really just comes down to human beings working together, because the money itself doesn't exist. It's just something that we want to have so we can feel like we can kind of trust each other. Pretty much, it doesn't exist at all. So I think it's funny that that she was sitting there, and I was telling her about 1971, how we went off the gold standard under, I believe, was it Ronald Reagan? I think he just said it, but no, or Nixon. I believe it was Nixon. Either or. But I was trying to explain to her, like, after we went off the gold standard, it's backed by nothing. It's just fiat currency. And you have the backed by the economy of the United States, really backed by petrol oil. You look up Kissinger and stuff, Henry Kissinger, and you realize why we went to war in the Middle East and stuff. We all knew it was about oil, because that's what war is always about, land and resources. They can have any other things, like even with the Nazi Germany and stuff, we got to get rid of all the Jews, and wherever the case is going on with crazy psycho man Hitler and all the other stuff, which is probably just a social experiment. You can talk about all those different things, but what it comes down to is land, resources. What can I take away from you so I can have more of for me and those people that are around me? Because ego. Human beings are greedy. Gluttony, selfish.
Currencies. So how does paper hold any value if it's not backed by anything?
It doesn't.
Well, that's where concepts like legal tender come in.
Now,
The
pay
fiat
attention to this. Concepts like legal tender. I didn't know legal tender is a concept. Legal tender is a concept.
system, which we still use today, has governments assign value to a currency, declaring it a legal tender. This means a government decides whether a medium of payment will be recognized for financial transactions, trade settlement, or commerce in a country or jurisdiction.
Governments.
Some fiat currencies like
control.
the US dollar and the euro are recognized internationally and used for global trade because they are backed by some of the most credible governments and largest economies in the world.
So, like I said, they're backed by the credibility, which is crazy because their credibility is shot when you think about it. But whatever.
To sum up, a fiat currency has value because a government uses its power to enforce this value, or because exchanging parties agree to its value. Some may even describe this as a collective illusion. It's not hard to see how problems could occur with this.
It is a collective
Let's
illusion.
see some examples when the fiat currency system backfired under the control of irresponsible or corrupt governments prone to economic and political mismanagement. At the time of the independence of Zimbabwe from British colonial rule in 1980, the Zimbabwean dollar was worth about 1.25 US dollars. Soon after, inflation started creeping up and got completely out of control when President Robert Mugabe began confiscating land from the white farming community.
Take that into mind. Inflation. As we talk about the $1.9 trillion, and you talk about eventually having to pay back all this debt and stuff. Inflation. When you increase the money supply, because you need more money to circulate, you're trying to have more money in circulation to pay for all these different things. And if the money is not actually backed by anything, then that is the issue right there, because there's no real substance. So what actually gives it value? That's why you're constantly starting to see in mainstream media, where it's Forbes, Business Insider, Washington Post, New York Times, whatever, everybody's talking about potential economic collapse of the U.S. dollar. I've been saying that for probably a decade now, because the shit is propped up. It doesn't matter who's in office. Everyone has kept printing money. So if you keep printing money of imaginary shit, you ain't gonna do nothing but destroy the economy. But your past president, or current president, depending on who you're talking to, Trump, kind of had something set aside. Kind of had a parallel financial economy that you guys may or may not know about. Or it could be hypothetical, it could be fiction, it could be a conspiracy theorist, whatever. All I know is it's suspicious, right? Kind of interesting, because if you know basic economy, basic economics, whether it's macro or microeconomics, doesn't matter. You understand that you can't just say, oh, we're going to have a $1.9 trillion. I think I seen something this morning where it was talking about, it was a clip on Forbes on Twitter. It was talking about AOC, and she was explaining how she was all smiling and stuff, where he was like all excited how the child, this is what we talked about in the relief package, where the child tax credit or child credit, whatever, where everyone gets X amount of check for each child until they're the age of 17. That sounds cool, right? Because the government's just giving you money. Remember, socialism, the government's just giving you money. But how's that working in a so-called free economy? In a free market, rather. You're just giving out money to people. Well, why are they giving out money to people? Doesn't it sound like if you give out too much, it will decrease its value? Well, no shit. Too much of anything decreases its value. Basic economics tell you supply and demand. The more demand, the better the supply. The better the price, rather. But if there's no demand and you can increase the supply, well, then the value of that object goes down. So the US dollar is still in circulation and being used as a reserve currency around the world, but that's going away. Shit, I talked about with XRP. And if it's not XRP, it's going to be something else. The new Bretton Woods Agreement, they already talked about. You cannot have the US dollar. And it's not like they're coming to some some breathtaking revelation. This is done by design. And I'll show you guys a website here later on where all fiat currencies fail. Like they only last X amount of years. It's a hypothetical, well, it's a theoretical system with no real foundation, no real fundamental principles. It's designed to fail because you cannot have something that has an unlimited supply. When you have an unlimited supply, that means at some point in time, the demand is going to go down and it loses its value. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. It's just simple economics, man. You guys, all this talk of, oh, you guys don't know what you talk about. You gotta be, we gotta listen to economists and all that stuff. No, you don't, man. No, you don't. It's not that complex. And if it is complex, it's because they designed it in a manner for it to sound complexing and confusing, but it's actually not. It's just a Ponzi scheme, bro. They just sit here making up shit, man. That's all they do is make up shit. And this is showing you an example of what happened in Zimbabwe. If you think it can't happen here in America, guess what? It has already happened. The debt bubble is going to explode. Why they Bitcoin, cryptocurrency prices go up and stuff? Because everyone knows this shit is just propped up. The financial markets or the financial, the markets, the stock market, the economy and stuff, it's all propped up, man. It's going to explode. It's going to explode, man. It's nothing no one can do to save it. And that's what they like to do anyways. Order through chaos. So, and you bring in the order through chaos. You bring in the chaos by destroying and crashing shit. And then you all of a sudden come out, oh, look, don't worry, we got a solution. Same thing we talked about yesterday. As far as the COVID relief package and stuff. They're giving us money in America and to entities outside of America due to COVID-19, yet they created the problem of COVID-19. And you can say, oh, well, the virus, that's why they had to stop all this stuff. That's bullshit, man. You know it's bullshit because guess what? We're still in the same place we were a year ago. Nothing has changed. The virus is still the same effect. Hell, now you got multiple strains and shit. And fuck the vaccine, because even with the vaccine, it doesn't fucking matter. You still have to follow the same so-called guidelines or rules and regulations, wherever they want to call it. So nothing has actually changed. Nothing. When you're talking about your response to COVID-19. Yet, they shut down the economy last year in different places. And some places are still kind of shut down. And here we are trying to pump more money into the economy. And meanwhile, you got the Keystone Pipeline being shut down. And all of a sudden, you had the gas stations and you're pissed off as shit because the gas prices went up in like a couple of weeks. I was mad as fuck when I looked and saw that it was $2.85. I'm like, damn, wasn't I just here like a couple of weeks ago? I know I don't get gas that much because I don't go nowhere. But, man, last night I got gas, it was $2.35. I had to do a double take. I looked at the gas pump. Then I looked at the marquee board. And I looked back at the gas pump. I was like, God damn, I guess this shit is $2.85. What the fuck? I don't know how that doesn't make you mad. As I was saying earlier, an example as far as AOC, which is what, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and she was talking about, oh, so exciting. Yeah, that means from the time that you have a bun in the oven until the child is 17, you will be getting X amount of checks. I don't know if it's a year or if it's a month or what. And then I thought it was ironic because I'm like, wait a minute. A bun in the oven is now considered a child. Yet when we talk about abortion, it's not. I don't even know if that makes sense. I hope I'm just reading into that incorrectly because that's really fucked up. That's not in today's topic. So it's all this money and stuff. Where is it coming from? Where's the actual value of it? You can't just say, oh, thank you for the money. Thank you for the money. You have to really think about this stuff. Like, who's paying for all this? Like, how is the US dollar even worth anything if the economy is really not that good? Because, right now it's going down. It's going down. Like, we're not becoming self-sufficient as far as our energy resources, as far as different crops and stuff like that. If you outsource it and take these jobs and take them overseas and stuff, well, what economy do you have? The reason why places like Texas, Florida, I want to say Montana, some other places where Montana farms apparently owned by Chinese people. I didn't know that, or Chinese government rather. So these states are that are more self-sufficient economically. That's why you have Texas like, oh no, we're gonna leave because they have one of the larger economies more than some countries. And why would they end up giving helping out the union, helping out the rest of the United States of America? It was like, whoa, 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 y'all fucking up in the federal government. We're gonna keep our money in our economy, and we'll do our own trade deals. Example of Zimbabwe.
In 1998, resulting in a near total collapse in food production and the decline of foreign investment. In order to help pay the government's expenditures, the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe started printing more and more banknotes with higher and higher face values. As a result, the annual inflation rate rose from 32% in 1998 to 231 million% in July of 2008.
10 fucking years, bro.
Statistics stopped being reported. After that, it was estimated by international economists that the hyperinflation peaked at a staggering annual rate of 89.7 sextillion% in mid-November 2008.
Sextillion, goddamn.
The monthly peak rate was 79.6 billion%, which is equivalent to a 98% daily rate. In other words, prices were pretty much doubling every day. In 2009, the Zimbabwean dollar was completely abandoned in favor of using only foreign currencies. Once one of the richest countries in Africa, Zimbabwe descended into economic chaos, largely blamed on its government's policies. Yeah. This is an extreme example of how the trust in a fiat currency can be lost, leading to economic turmoil.
All it takes is a loss in trust or loss in faith of the currency. Some Americans are too, I want to say, naive and narcissistic to think that this shit can't happen in America, bro. Anything and everything will cease to exist, or what you think it exists. But everything will come to an end because it's cyclic. So you can see a country rise, and you can see that shit fall. Now, something else can rise up, whether it's the same country or not. That kind of depends on you, but it can happen. It's probably going to happen. And the way America is going, it actually needs to happen. Because the track that we're on in America, this shit is not sustainable. The shit needs to go down. Government has gotten too big. The shit needs to go back down, smaller size. The free market really needs to step up, and we, the people, really need to be in control of the free markets, of the markets itself. Because Wall Street, government, corporations, they're just raping and drying us dry. Drying us dry. Does that make sense? Whatever. They're just taking everything. And it's really sad, man, when you think about it, because when I say it's done by design, like, that's not an exaggeration. That's not a stretch of my own imagination, none of that shit. It's like, it's literally done by design, because when you look at history, the people that so-called economists and all this other stuff that's recognized or study economies throughout history and modern economies around the world, you can see the pattern. You know what to do and what not to do. They say if you don't study history, you're doomed to repeat it. Yeah, because human beings seem to do the same shit over and over and over.
The collective illusion quickly turned into a collective disbelief. This is not an isolated example of a currency crisis, though. There are many countries around the world where local currencies hold hardly any value, and people prefer keeping their savings in the so-called hard foreign currencies or other alternatives like gold and, most recently, Bitcoin. Currently, Venezuela is undergoing a period of raging inflation of
Venezuela,
its own.
Another socialist economy.
In 2018, inflation was 84% for the month, implying an annualized rate of 150,000%, meaning prices would double every 35 days.
This is 3 years ago.
Now, the Venezuelan government has come up with an innovative proposed solution for a stable currency. The Petro, a government-issued cryptocurrency, running on blockchain and backed by the country's oil reserves. The Petro is intended to be a legal tender in Venezuela, which becomes the first country in the world to issue a sovereign cryptocurrency. It remains to be seen how successful or not this experiment will be. Such a centrally issued cryptocurrency is a far cry from the decentralized nature of Bitcoin and its digital siblings.
And then the Bitcoin, I mentioned before, Bitcoin is not something I'm too sold on because if I don't know who created shit, I don't know what's the intentions behind it. Yes, I understand the white paper. Yes, I understand the pseudonym, Satoshi Nakamoto. I understand all that, but still don't know who the fuck you are, guy. Or people don't know who's behind it. I also understand that talked about before the Department of Justice and I'm sure other government entities have Bitcoin. I know the FBI does because they seize it. And when a government entity seize assets for legal reasons or during an investigation, they keep that shit. They keep that shit, man. Where you think all the drugs go? Ask the CIA, told you actually where all the drugs go and stuff, man. They keep this shit. So there's some other videos I want to show you guys, but I wanted to show you this a couple of these websites first. So here you have, obviously on the audio version of the podcast, you don't see this, but here you have the usdebtclock.org. So you go to their website, you can see the numbers just running the fuck up, and it's really creepy to look at. So you have the U.S. national debt at $28 trillion. The average debt per citizen is $84,910. The average debt per taxpayer is $223,893. So that probably, for most people, that includes homes or buying homes and cars, stuff like that, which technically don't necessarily classify as debt when you're talking about your credit score and stuff like that, but it's still debt nonetheless. U.S. federal spending official is $6.6 trillion, if I'm not mistaken, million, billion, trillion. And the U.S. federal budget deficit is $3.2 trillion. The U.S. federal debt to GDP ratio, 53% back in 1960, 34% back in 1980, 58% in 2000, and now it's at 129.79%. We are fucked, man. What are you gonna do with that? What are you gonna do with that? Like I said, if you want to blame Trump, if you don't think he has a plan and why he did it, or he wasn't trying to bankrupt the Federal Reserve, go right ahead. I'm okay with that too. You should take the blame then. That's okay, because like everyone, no one's above criticism, no one's above blame. If you fucked up, you fucked up. Or you done it by design. Because I don't think these people care. Some might care. Some senators, some U.S. congressmen might care. But I think majority of them would sell us out in a heartbeat. Want to know why? Because the regular person that you know, your friends, your neighbors, your family members will do the same exact thing. And they know you. And they'll still sell you out. So you telling me a person that doesn't know you at all won't sell you out? Shit. They'll do that in a heartbeat, man. Look at all this money that's going up, man. Let's see what else. U.S. Treasury dollars now, like they created $789 million. Recently, I'm assuming. That's a lot, man. That's a lot. It's wild because it's a lot. But let's see. Let's see. I think they have a thing for gold supply. So the U.S. population is 330 million. Yeah, man, that's not even an approximation, huh? Official unemployment is 9 million. The actual unemployed is 17 million. I like how there's an official and an actual. Like, fuck that, right? The oil ratio is $121.76 a barrel. Now I say you have to pay, even though this shit might sound not boring, you have to pay attention to it because this is what your life is based on. If you want to live in this so-called modern society with economics and finances and market and stuff, you gotta pay attention to where the fuck this money is going. Because when you go get that milk and it's $5 a gallon as opposed to being $3 a gallon, or really $2 a gallon, you start to be like, hey, what the fuck is going on? When you go get that gas and that shit's $3 as opposed to being $2, you're like, whoa, why is my gas going up? I mean, what the fuck has changed? There's a lot of things that affects that. Look, they got a corporate tax revenue of $213 billion. So some of those people some of those companies gonna be like, you know, we're gone. We're gone. Yeah, we can't deal with this taxes and stuff, man. So we're gone. I just saw this. So you have U.S. retirees. There are 55 million U.S. retirees. There are 9 million U.S. disabled people. So you want to hope that's your elderly. You don't want it to be people like my age and stuff. Although me and a few other of my military friends are all disabled and retired. That's probably an issue, man. Right? It says you have 35 million living in poverty, and 29 million without insurance. Insurance is a scam and a big ass Ponzi scheme, anyways. But it makes you wonder, like, 35 million in poverty. What is poverty? How do they even define that? Right? And what U.S. So government employees, there's 22 million. So you tell me United States government, the federal government, is really one of the largest employers, almost like it's a goddamn, I don't know, corporation. Only corporations have employees, as far as I know. Only businesses have employees. Let's see, I want to check on the gold supply. I looked at it earlier. Let's see the numbers show up. All right, here. So it says gold demand by sector in ounces. It says central banks have 19 million in ounces of gold. Uh, Gold demand by country in ounces. China has 27 million. United States has 6 million. Kind of put that into perspective. I wonder who's preparing for what. I don't even believe the United States has 6 million. I don't believe China has 27 million either. They're probably, so one is either cooking the books or one is trying to not have any of their things on any of their gold assets on the books. I definitely wouldn't. I wouldn't. I'm not letting no other country know how much gold I would have. Like, I wouldn't. Let's see. Germany has 4 million. Russia has 1 million. That's pretty much it. India has 17 million. So what does India and China know about gold that everyone else doesn't know about? Makes you wonder, right? And do you have all this stuff, all this information, but no one really pays attention to it? And I get it, because it's like, fuck it, who cares? But shit, that's why we're in the situation we're in now. So, as far as the video was talking about what is legal tender status and what is legal tender, I went to, once again, the U.S. government's websites, because go straight to the source. The same people that are sitting here saying they don't control nothing, even though they created a lot of this bullshit, I'm going to use their own definitions because, well, they're lying about shit. So what you have here is treasury.gov. It says legal tender status. And it's pretty much kind of asking, I want to say asking a question. It was like a proposed question by maybe someone. It says, I thought the United States currency was legal tender for all debts. Some businesses or governmental agencies say that they will only accept checks, money orders, or credit cards as payment. And others will only accept currency notes in denominations of $20 or smaller. Isn't this illegal? It says the pertinent portion of law that applies to your question is the Coinage Act of 1965, specifically Section 31 United States Code 5103 entitled Legal Tender, which states United States coins and currency, including Federal Reserve notes and circulating notes of Federal Reserve banks and national banks, are legal tender for all debts, public charges, taxes, and dues. Legal tender for all debts. Remember we talked about you cannot pay debt off with debt. It doesn't work. How can you pay debt off with debt? If the US dollar is not backed by anything and you go to pay your bills with US dollars, what are you actually paying off? Are you paying off anything? Are you actually paying off anything? Because debt is debt. And can you pay off debt with debt? You never actually pay off your debt. You never pay anything of real substance and value to a creditor. It's almost like you just all go along with it. It's almost like money is just make believe and we all just say, okay, cool, whatever. Because that's literally what is going on here. We're just making shit up. The statute means that all United States money as identified above are valid and legal offer of payment for debts when tendered to a creditor. So you telling me a law, an act, right? An act which probably no regular everyday citizen voted for in 1965. Wait a minute. Didn't Kennedy die in 64, 65? I think Kennedy was trying to go back to a gold standard. Or as far as not go back to a gold standard, but allow American citizens to carry gold. Actually, I think he was, as far as, your so-called conspiracy theories, one of the theories is that Kennedy was killed. Well, he was killed for a lot of reasons, probably, but he was also killed theoretically for trying to end the Federal Reserve. I mean, the Federal Reserve, that private entity, that central bank that's not part of the United States government, that's not part of the United States, that citizens don't have anything to do with. Yes, that Federal Reserve, the place that makes you wonder why the fuck are they there. Don't worry, we're gonna watch another video on YouTube about it, and this is something that I also had to explain to my own teacher. So I'm in college. I'm explaining to my teacher, who's older than me by at least 2 decades, about money. Why is that? Like I said, I'm not smart. I'm just a regular guy. I'm just a regular person. I'm just really curious, and I got issues when I can't figure shit out. And I don't like when people try to explain things. I'm like, wait. What you're talking about doesn't make sense. I'm going to go do my own research. So I go on the U.S. government's website, and I look at all this different information about money and what it is and stuff. And it's like, whoa. You tell me the Federal Reserve is fake? What gives it credibility? Oh, because you passed an act in Congress that no one asked for? 1913 Federal Reserve Act, Great Depression, 1920, right? I'm pretty sure that's not a coincidence at all. Huh. Oh, guess we're going to have to talk about that too, huh? Continue on with this question was trying to answer, or the answer to this question, rather. There is, however, no federal statute mandating. Let's start that over again. There is, however, no federal statute mandating that a private business, a person, or an organization must accept currency or coins as for payment for goods and or services. Private businesses are free to develop their own policies on whether or not to accept cash, unless there is a state law which says otherwise. So right now, if a state says that they only want to accept Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies, that's all they got to do. And you know what people do? Monkey see, monkey do. Everybody falls in line, domino effect, and then everyone's on the same page. That's all it takes. So that's why you can have Bitcoin and all these other cryptocurrencies that don't mean shit, that have no value, anything other than the value that people give it. That's it. Nothing has value other than the value that we give it, because we're not talking about gold and silver, which we should be, because gold is in your body. Silver, I believe, is in your body too. Gold, it goes into semiconductors, that goes into computer processors and other things like that, as far as electronics. And there's other reasons for gold as well, not just jewelry. You understand that gold goes into other things, not just jewelry. There's other reasons for gold. But things that can give you some type of value, but also from a physical standpoint as well, because if we're gonna continue to make shit up, I mean, what the fuck does anything matter? So continue on what it says. Yeah, businesses are free, state laws otherwise. Okay, so for example, a bus line may prohibit payment of fares in pennies or dollar bills. In addition, movie theaters, convenience stores, and gas stations may refuse to accept large denomination currency, usually notes above $20 as a matter of policy. So as the US dollar is going down right in front of your eyes, but you don't know, because you're like, oh, dollars is still a dollar. That's the reason why when I was a kid, God damn, it gotta sound like I'm old. When I was a kid, you had 25 cents sodas, check sodas outside of Publix in a little vending machine. Next thing you know, it's 50 cents. Now it's like $1 goddamn 25. Same thing with candy. Candy used to be like 25 cents for Skittles. Now it's $1.25. I'm like, whoa. I don't think the bag of size of Skittles necessarily increased in this one, this base price. I don't think that there's more Skittles in here. The bag still seems to be the same. Yet you're telling me is what? 75 cents more? Come on, man. That's kind of suspicious, right? That's a lot of fucking money. I know it's 75 cents, but we're talking about Skittles. This shit ain't that great for the price to increase up. It's not like there's a high demand for Skittles, is there? No, it's inflation. That's all it is, because you're increasing the money supply. It's inflation. But all it takes is a gas station or some other place to say, you know what, we're not going to take your money anymore. Coin shortage are people saying we don't want these coins anymore because they don't mean anything. There's no value to them. They can tell you whatever and you believe the shit because you don't do your homework. Even though you've been going to school all these years and they tell you, oh, make sure you do your homework. I just thought about that. That's funny though. Oh my God. What are the questions on here? What Federal Reserve notes? What are Federal Reserve notes and how are they different from the United States? And okay. So I just want to talk about this real quick. I was trying to find something that says it legally, and you can't, because I'm pretty sure it's probably just one of those loophole things. You read the actual United States code and stuff like that. Because I know when I say you can't pay off debt with debt, and the thing is, I found all these videos before on YouTube, and I just saw that I liked over 1,000 something different things on YouTube over the probably since like 2008, whenever I first created a YouTube account. So I don't know where that video is at. I wouldn't be surprised if the video's been taken down and deleted. But yeah, there's a lot of things, man. I was really trying to find the information, so I apologize. I really couldn't get a hold on that information. But so on this Snoops, Snoops, they're so great. These people are shitty. It says consumers are not obligated to pay back debt that creditors have written off and sold. So the idea is like if you owe money to a creditor, say you owe money for like if you owe money for a credit card, a small loan, like $2,000, something like that, and you don't pay it off, right? And then you're 3-4 months past due, and next thing you know, you stop getting stuff in the mail, and the stuff you were getting in the mail was with your name in all capital letters, correct? Next thing you know, you get something in the mail, or you get a phone call from somebody else, some other person telling you, oh, you owe this much. And you're like, well, who the hell are you? I don't know who you are. And then you look at the letter in the mail, and then it has your name on it, but it's not in all capital letters. Obviously, I'm talking about legal fiction straw man. I don't want to go too much into it because that's a whole separate episode on its own, but just keep that in mind. Because your name in legalese is all capital letters, same as your driver's license, things of that nature when you're talking about contractual agreements. But when they send you an ad revenue, or not ad revenue, but an ad or saying you pre-qualify for this loan, even though you didn't ask for none of this shit, your name is just spelled the way you regularly spell your name in plain old regular American text English. There's a difference. It's not an accident, bro. It's done on purpose. It's done intentionally. There's a mindset behind it, but most people don't pay attention to it. And that's how I separate my mail. I separate my mail. If it's my name in all capital letters, that means it's important. If it's my name just the regular way I spell it, oh, it's trash. I'm throwing this shit away. I don't even read it. Just chop, throw it away. Unless it's like a personal letter or something like that from some entity I know and have worked with or done or have business with. But even then, they're not sending me a contractual agreement or anything like that. They're just sending me shit like, hey, thank you for your support. Thank you for your service. I caught myself saying that. All right, thank you for your business, stuff like that. So it says consumers are not obligated to pay back debt that creditors have written and sold off. I said you already can't pay back debt anyway because you can't pay debt with debt. That's a hard thing to argue, right? The straw man theory and all stuff. That's a hard thing to argue because you can't really find nothing specifically that says that. At the same time, you're not actually finding anything. You're just observing the loopholes in the legality or in the legal writing of all this. It's left out. It's left out because it's intentional, because what they're doing is already illegal. Just because they pass a law doesn't mean it makes it legal. It's still fucked up. They know that. But what is laws if you ignore it? Right? Like there are no actual laws. I don't think people understand that. There are no laws. There's no nothing. The same as there's no money. It's just what we agree as a society. But really, we're not agreeing about anything for the most part. The regular average day person, we're all just being told by government, hey, go do this. And everyone's like, okay. They're like, okay. You're like, damn, you're not even going to question this? I tell my kids, I know I tell my kids, I tell my kids, I know I may be overbearing or intimidating, but I'm like, I want you to stand up to me, question authority, question what the fuck I'm saying to you. Even if I get aggravated, don't let that discourage you. Stand up for yourself. Because really, if you can stand up towards your parents, you know, ain't shit else no one else can say to you. Because you're like, oh, you're not my mom, you're not my dad. I don't give a fuck what you say. I'll do whatever I want. The rest of it, you know, we all just try to go about our day because we don't want to impede on anyone else's personal liberty and stuff like that. So I just think it's funny that Snopes is trying to denounce this. So it's saying the origin, one common form of urban folklore, they really gonna call it that? Yeah, not urban, whatever, is the quote unquote legal talisman text, typically a message informing readers that they can gain significant advantages simply by invoking some little known legal stratagem that will protect them from penalty or punishment they might otherwise experience. Social media users were exposed to another example of this form in 2017, one which spuriously advised them they were not legally obligated to pay any debts that creditors had sold off to third parties. So, I'll tell you from firsthand experience, I've done this. I looked at my credit report and saw that my debt was transferred from one thing to another. You know what? I'll give you the full example detail. I was in Seattle. This is back in like 2013. Yeah, got deployed that year. So it was months before I deployed. So it was 2013. Went to Seattle with some friends and my kids and stuff, and we hung out around there and blah, blah. Is that it? Do I want to go with that? Is that the example? Yeah, I think that's the example. That works too. Because there's two things. Because also then turn back in a modem when far as my cable, my internet rather in my house before I deployed. So I didn't turn it back in. So I also had $100 debt to pay off and stuff. And then I had $100 fine. They screwed me over. They tried to give me this ticket, like a couple days before I was supposed to have a court date in Seattle. Obviously, I'm not driving back to Seattle from fucking Great Falls, Montana to appear in court for this ticket that I got because I made a right turn at a red light. I'm not shitting you. That's exactly what I did. I made a right turn at a red light, got caught on camera, and it's illegal. Now I can't remember if I seen the sign and said fuck it and did it anyways, because I don't put that past me. I probably did that, or if I didn't see no if I didn't see no sign at all, I can't remember what I did. I feel like I saw the sign and I said fuck it and turned anyways. I was like, man, whatever. Can't make a right turn on a red light. Whatever. Get out of here. I'm doing this shit. And this is in SeaTac County, so Seattle, Tacoma County. And I did this, and I got a bill in the mail, and I was like, I'm not paying this shit. And I was like, oh my God, because my mindset was like, I'm not paying this. And if they have a warrant out for my arrest, I'm never going back to Washington anyway, so fuck them. I can't believe I did this. I'm in the military. It's funny. I do small little things like this. So I also knew at the time, like, okay, let's see where this goes. And I saw that on my credit report that I owed a debt. And I'm like, who I owe a debt to? And I was like, oh, it was a ticket. It was a ticket and the little cable modem thing. But I was like, you know what? I saw that. I also saw that I was getting stuff in the mail or whatever, far as my debt was sold off to a third party. So I already knew some of this stuff. Actually, I knew a lot of this stuff anyways already. So I was like, well, if my debt was sold off, guess what? It's paid for. Your debt is sold off. It's paid for. And they say, oh, you can transfer your debt, still transfer over. No, because in order for that third party entity to get that debt, they had to buy it first. They paid for it. They paid it off, and then they took the so-called bill, and now they have it. And I knew that already, so I was like, well, they paid off, I'm not paying for it. So what I did, I went on my credit report, and I disputed the claim saying that, oh, that's not me. I did it for both of those things. Next thing you know, taking off my credit report. I'm not making this shit up. As always, do your own research, do your own homework, you'll figure it out. and you'll know the different ways and stuff what to do. But you can call it a legal loophole, you call it whatever you want, but it's there. It's there. And if I'm doing this, you don't think other people, as far as businesses and stuff like that, are doing it? People want to get mad about Trump paying a couple $100 in taxes, bro. That's what the fuck you're supposed to do. You're supposed to not pay taxes. All these extra laws, hell, taxes is illegal anyways. Income tax is illegal anyways. Find me the law. Find me the law. There is no law. You don't give me the 14 whatever amendment it is. That's not it. That's not it. Income tax on wages, your personal wages is different. That's not the same. You think the founders of the so-called America, you think they was trying to get away from taxes, so the next thing they want to do was add more taxes? No, bro. I thought it was the Boston Tea Party. They threw that shit over because it was like, we ain't paying y'all taxes. I think they cleaned up the deck and stuff too after they did it, but whatever. They were nice about it. So yeah, that literally is a thing. You can go on your credit report and dispute stuff because you can't pay off debt with debt. You can get out of shit. I did this a couple times. I literally gone there. You can negotiate your interest rates. You can negotiate your prices at any place. Negotiation is always on the table. There's so much things that people don't know about money and stuff. That's why certain businesses like, oh, we'll match so-and-so's price. It's not a business model because they're negotiating. You can always negotiate a price. There is no fixed price on anything. You can negotiate it. Now, granted, you might lose that negotiation, but guess what? You negotiate. That's why Trump was like, oh, I could be president because this is his business. That's all it is. That's all we're talking about is economy. All we're talking about is finances and business. That's it. That's it. Yeah, you go into war and stuff like that, but it still all revolves around the same thing: money, finances, resources, economy. So I think it's funny that Snopes sit here and try to disprove this and stuff. And I don't even know what their actual argument was. It says debt can indeed legally be sold or assigned, and the creditor is doing so does not relieve the debtor of obligation to pay. But once again, when that debt collector sends you a bill and that shit is not in your full legal name, all capital letters, oh, I'd be like, oh, that's not a legal contract. There's no contractual agreement, nothing like that. I ain't got to pay this. I did when I moved out of the house a few years ago. I moved out of the house and I was renting, and I didn't get my security deposit back. I cleaned up the house and everything and stuff, and then I left some trash for them to throw away. But because I didn't, you're supposed to pay for a professional cleaning, and the house was big. It was 2 stories, 5 bedrooms. I'm like, I'm not doing this shit, man. I'm not paying for a professional cleaning for this. It's a couple $100 and stuff. And then I'm supposed to get my security deposit. I just shut up a couple $100. Fuck no, I'm not doing this. I might as well not get the security deposit back. Y'all can just go ahead and keep it. I wasn't expecting that back anyways. And then all of a sudden I get a bill in the mail telling me, oh, you gotta pay this, this, and that. And I looked at the bill. The first thing I saw was, oh, it's not my name in all capital letters. Not a real thing. Threw it away. That was 3-4 years ago. It's now on my credit report. I check my credit report, either monthly or quarterly. I check my credit report. It's never showed up on my credit report. I know that because it was not a legal binding contract. They already got my money. That security deposit covers all of that. Any cleaning, any of the things and stuff. That's why I left. And I didn't even leave the house, not even close to a bad shape, because you have your renter score. So I didn't do that anyways. I just didn't get my security deposit back. Because I knew, one, they were trying to rip me off as far as getting my security deposit back. Like, you want me to pay so many $100s to have a professional cleaning business or to come in and clean, but I want my security deposit back. So to me, the best way to get my money back is to clean the shit myself, which I'm going to have to end up doing here again. I'm going to have to find the cheapest person I can to have a professional clean, just to have a receipt on there. But I'm going to do majority of the cleaning myself anyways. And my house is a lot smaller than the other house. I'm not going back to a big ass house like that again. It's too much. But anyways, so you can have these different things saying, oh, you don't have to pay all this debt. Yes, you can. You don't have to pay this shit off, man. But once again, do your own research. You figure it out on your own. Take your own risk. Because I took a risk. I took a calculated risk that I had a good probability percentage that I was good on. And I wasn't worried about it. Because I was only talking about a couple $100s or a couple $1,000. Something, worst case scenario, I knew I could pay off if something happened. But I was like, all right, let me experiment. Let's see what the fuck happens. Because I'm that person. You give me rules, I'm like, you know, I don't like your rules, so I'm gonna push that shit to the limit to see what the fuck might happen, because I don't like authority. Don't sit here and try to be authority over me. I'm gonna see if you push back, because it's a game. It's a game. Oh, you owe this amount of money. Oh, I do? Let's see what happens when I don't pay the shit. What are you gonna do then? Send me calls and stuff? Don't worry, you get blocked. Now I'll do it again. And all that stuff that was on my credit report, all I did was go on there and say dispute claim, dispute claim, dispute claim, gone. It's gone, bro. Because it's not actually you. It's not actually you. All you gotta say, and that's why I said I disputed claim and said it's not me. Gone. It's not you. It's not you the person. It might be a legal fiction. It might not be a legal fiction, wherever the case may be. So to sit here and have this thing on Snow saying, "Oh no, you can't do that," you think they'll actually tell people that you can't do that? If people actually knew what they actually can do and actually knew that money was fake and all this debt is bullshit, a lot of people wouldn't pay off any fucking thing. Now, granted, it's hard to do when you're talking about stuff like a car or something like that, because you obviously went into a legal binding contract with them, correct? But when I'm talking about me getting a ticket, that's not the same, right? And everybody's state law is different. But once again, I took a calculated risk. I figured worst case scenario, I'll pay the $100 and the little extra that goes on, but I just want to see what happens. I do this often. I do this shit often. And I haven't done it actually I haven't done it probably about a couple years since I tried to test different things, see if I can get away with. Yeah, I gotta be careful though. But it's interesting that they have this on here. And then you look down, I'm like, okay, well, so where do they get their sources from? Their sources is Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Okay. And it's quoting a line saying, if a credit reporting error is corrected, how long will it take before I find out the result? So that's something about something being on your credit report for X amount of time. I know I'm kind of going off a little bit, but it still ties in. And then there's resource from Credit Karma and resource from Federal Trade Commission. And it's not even a hypertext link, so I can't even click on anything. So this is Snopes telling me, oh, that the claim is false, yet they want to give an actual link of their resources for me to click on and read for myself. I don't trust that shit. You can't. That's why I tell you guys the links. That's why I try to put a link. I try to remember to put links in the description when I post a video version of the podcast, because you can look for yourself. You can look for yourself. Hopefully, I remember all the links to this one. But it's funny that they have it like that. But I just want to show you guys that to get back to what I was originally talking about, because it's still the same concept. Debt is debt, and how can you pay off debt if you don't have no actual substance of anything of value to pay it off? So when you're paying off debt, so you owe someone, and then you're using the U.S. dollar to pay off something. The U.S. dollar is bullshit. There's nothing backing it. So you're giving pieces of paper to someone to pay off something. You're writing a check with your name on it to pay off something, because based on the ones and zeros, the digital ones and zeros, the bits and bytes of ones and zeros that's in your bank account, you're saying, oh yeah, I have X amount and here's X amount to you to pay off. It's all make-believe. It's all make-believe. You might as well be in a goddamn Disney movie how much make-believe this shit is. It's all imaginary. But to go back to talk about fiat currencies and fiat governments, when I say that the fiat currency doesn't work, and if you study your history, man, see how the U.S. money supply has increased since 1959 to 2008. For those of you on the video version of the podcast, money printing is wealth theft. And this is from geniefoundation.org. Never heard of this, but whatever. Here we are. And it's talking about living the now about the U.S. economy. But, okay, what I wanted to show you where it says the fiat currency graveyard. So it says the average lifespan of a fiat currency is about 35 years. United States dollar is way overdue. That's why they always talk about a crash is coming, because it's inevitable. It's not a matter of if, it's when. And really, to me, it seems like when is just by design. It says the following list of currencies is a small sample of all the fiat currencies throughout the past 1,000 years that have collapsed due to corrupt and are incompetent monetary policy making. That's exactly what it is. Hyperinflation is one of the most common precursors to a fiat currency's collapse. So we got inflation. So we start hitting off hyperinflation within the next year or so. Shit, I don't even know. I mean, we could be experiencing hyperinflation right now. I mean, that's a huge jump from 235 to 285. You're talking about gas. Better get your stuff now as you can while interest rates and stuff are low. Just keep in mind that most of these countries below collapse within a lifetime of most baby boomers living today. So hyperinflation and currency collapses are not exponentially rare events, or excuse me, exceptionally rare events. In fact, the average lifespan of a fiat currency is only about 35 years, which means these events may hit. Be 35 next year. Which means these events happen much more frequently than many people realize. So you have the Peru 1,000 enitas in 1989. You have the Russian rubles, which is 1992. Zaire in 1992. What else? In Hungary, 1945, 10 million pingo. And so it's showing all the country in the year in which when it starts saying 100 this, 10 million this. And hyperinflation. Germany, 1 billion mark, 1923. Zimbabwe, which the video just talked about, $100 trillion, 2006. $100 trillion Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe note. Which probably calculates to what, 100 US dollars, something like that during that time, maybe. Greece, your 25 drachmas, 1943. Central Bank of China, 1947. Probably around the same time the Communist Chinese Party took over as well. I'm pretty sure that's not a coincidence. Venezuela, 2002. Yugoslavia, the 10 billion dinar note. 10 billion dinar note. In 1993, 10 billion with the B. Dinar note. Pay attention to that, man. Pay attention to that. Then you have the Bolivia, 5 million pesos. Bolivianos, or whatever that is. I don't even know what that is. In 1985. Then you have the Angola, 500,000, 1995. This shit keeps going, bro. It keeps going on and on. Ukraine, 1995. You know what happened in Ukraine? 2000s. In their election. Don't think elections can't be stolen. Happens in history. Happens all around the world. Pay attention. France in 1973. Turkey in 1997. 1 million lira. And we know what happened with Turkey and their currency collapsing and their banks closing and stuff. And then their banks literally taking people's money back. Georgia, 1994. Country, Georgia. Brazil, 1993. Argentina, 1985. Nicaragua, 10 million, 1990. Belarus, Chile, Romania, Bosnia. God damn, right? Right? All these different countries, man. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. You cannot have a real, actual economy based on fiat currency. It's a Ponzi scheme. People get in, they get their money, they get the fuck out. And they hop into another currency. And if you think that's crazy, think about it. Would you not do that? Would you not do that? Huh. It makes you, what is Genie? Okay, what is Genie is not heading for the fiat graveyard. Only a well-designed cryptocurrency is resistance to fiat currency inflation. The Genie Foundation. Genie is for humans who simply want a stable currency to escape. Okay, I don't even know what the GI. I don't know what this is, but I understand. I knew most of the stuff anyways, because there's different videos on YouTube. There's different information around the globe and stuff about that. Now, there's some other videos I want to show you guys. Hopefully YouTube won't fuck with me and they'll let me play this stuff. And I probably shouldn't talk so much shit about YouTube when I want them to play the fucking videos. All right, so we're going to look at a video from the Atlanta Fed, because once again, I love to use the government's own shit against them because they think nobody's paying attention and listening to them. So this is Jekyll Island. So this is Jekyll Island and the creation of the Federal Reserve. And this is from the Atlanta Fed. Let's see, start the video over. I wanted to point out too, because look at that. Comments are turned off. Why, bro? Because they're already close to getting ratio 732 likes to 601 dislikes. And they said, yo, let's turn the comments off. People was like, yeah, y'all fucking us over, man. Let's check this video out though. Oh man, I'm sure I'm gonna get copyright infringement, but don't worry. I'm not monetized anyways. They kiss my ass.
Meetings can have lasting meaning, and a meeting on Jekyll Island, Georgia 100 years ago this month was an important moment in the evolution of U.S. central banking. That meeting is also the reason for the gathering here today. An important outcome of the 1910 meeting was a proposal for an institution with multiple branches, which became in part the model for the decentralized structure of the Federal Reserve System. A series of financial panics, culminating in the Panic of 1907, prompted.
I just realized what they said. Decentralized structure of the Federal Reserve System. Does that even sound like it makes sense? Decentralized structure of the Federal Reserve. Just because they have their 12 governors of banks, they want to call that's decentralization. Okay, whatever.
Congress to undertake a series of steps toward reforming the nation's monetary system to promote macroeconomic stabilization. Congress passed the Aldrich Vreland Act in 1908, establishing an 18-member National Monetary Commission chaired by Rhode Island Senator Nelson Aldrich. The commission was charged with finding a way to reform the nation's monetary system, but progress was slow, and by 1910, the commission could not agree on a plan. Aldrich took matters into his own hands, meeting with a group of bankers on Jekyll to formulate a plan. The group included bankers Paul Warburg, Henry Davidson, and Frank Vanderlip. Also present were Aldrich.
This is about bankers. Bankers. You want to know who rules the world? Bankers. If you haven't realized that, now you know. Bankers. Because if I hold everyone's money in a bank, guess what I have control over? Your fucking money. You create a system, you have control over it. Therefore, that's it. You have control. You have control. Why would I not create a system and not have control over it? You think they actually care? They're bankers. Bankers. If you're a banker, obviously, what do you care about? Money. That's it. That's it. Your loyalty lies in nothing else other than money, making more money for you, your friends, family, associates, or whatever. Paul Warburg. Man, I know that name and I know it's in association with something. I cannot think about it. Another interesting theory, since we're talking about 1913, I believe the Titanic crashed in 1913, 1914, somewhere around that. Kind of had some important people on the Titanic that didn't necessarily agree with the Federal Reserve Act.
His secretary, Arthur Shelton, and A. Piet Andrew, a Treasury official. Warburg's attendance was critical because of his knowledge of European banking practices.
He already know what to do.
Aldrich was well aware that his meeting with bankers outside of the commission proceedings would generate controversy, which is why the group met at the remote Jekyll Island location.
So they knew it would be controversial, so that's why they met in an island off the coast of Georgia. So they're basically saying, yeah, we know we're doing some, I don't know, shady ass shit. So let's just not meet where people can see us at. Kind of like your Bilderberg groups.
What emerged from the Jekyll meeting was the so-called Aldrich Plan, presented to the National Monetary Commission as a legislative blueprint. It became a catalyst for debate about the role of the government and banking in the central bank's governance. Representing a departure from the centralized governments of European central banks, the plan proposed that a National Reserve Association would function as the U.S. central bank.
Okay. For those of you who have seen the other video versions, and you know, I was listening to the audio version of the podcast when I mentioned it, YouTube does this shit when I'm recording, definitely when I'm live streaming. Right? Why they do this shit, man? This shit just flash, right? Anytime your internet, your technology, so all that just flashes, man, that's not normal, bro. It's not normal. It's almost usually when someone gets into the system. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that because this seems kind of too theoretical. But you know what? Fuck it. I don't care. I don't care because what's a coincidence when that shit happens repeatedly?
The association would consist of a federation of 15 regional bank associations, each to be presided over by boards of directors elected by the local banks.
It's your decentralization.
Aldrich's proposed central bank would promote economic stability by providing for greater financial stability.
Yeah,
Though the bill Aldrich put forward to the U.S. Senate in January 1912 was not acted on, many of the proposals that came out of the Jekyll meeting remained at the core of the subsequent steps in the creation of the Federal Reserve.
You're putting your money supply.
After the election of Woodrow Wilson in 1912, Congressman Carter Glass of Virginia, who had led an investigation into the concentration of power on Wall Street, assumed leadership of monetary reform, along with Senator Robert L. Owen. The Glass-Owen bill kept the key macroeconomic stabilization mechanisms of the Aldrich Plan, but provided for 8 to 12 districts with a reserve bank in each district. The difference that stood out the most was the governance of the central bank. The debate about a U.S. central bank had been mired in counter-arguments about who would control the system.
So your U.S. central banks, remember now, we were talking about central banks, never forget the Rothschild. Central banks. You don't need a central bank, right? If you're the United States government, every state is its own entity, and they come together, you know, United States is in the goddamn name, and these states come together for really foreign interests, foreign affairs, especially when you're talking about war and trade agreements, because once again, everything's about economy and resources. Why do you need a centralized bank for everybody? That shit smells like corruption, right? It's a central bank, but it's decentralized.
Appointed government officials. One compromise to resolve this disagreement involved governance. Of the 9-member Reserve Bank Board of Directors, only 3 could be bankers. The others were to be engaged in commerce, industry, or agriculture. Another was that the Federal Reserve Board in Washington, D.C. would be the oversight and coordinating agency. The reconciled bill was passed as the Federal Reserve Act and signed into law by President Wilson in 1913.
Woodrow Wilson.
The 12 reserve banks opened about a year later. At the time, the board was made up of 2 ex officio members, the Secretary of the Treasury and the Comptroller of the Currency, and 5 other members appointed by the President and confirmed by the Senate. This centenary
notice all those different people that was appointed and confirmed by the Senate and stuff like that. It wasn't the regular, everyday U.S. citizen. So we, the regular people, have nothing to do with it. It's appointed by a president, it's appointed by a Senate, it's appointed by all these people that are so-called supposed to represent us, but I don't need you to represent me on every fucking thing, right? There's some things, how come we can't have a say-so in, right? Are we just going to go ahead and trust this guy? I don't put my trust into anybody other than myself, and I still sometimes don't trust myself. So we're just going to go ahead and put all this power as far as controlling the money and what goes on, because was it Rothschild or somebody at one of those quotes where, you know, I care not who the president of a nation is or who the leader of a nation is. If you control the money supply, you control the nation. I mean, I don't know how much more simpler it gets than that. If I dictate your money and where it goes and how much you can have of it, guess what? I do what I want. So one of your little theories, I don't know if you want to call QAnon, probably a Q conspiracy theory, or I hate that word, conspiracy theory. A Q theory, or probably Q drops, where it's talking about Trump did a maneuver last year where he was able to move the Federal Reserve into under the United States Treasury Department, thus becoming part of the executive branch. I don't know if that actually happened or not. It's hard to tell right now because I don't give a shit what you say, what anyone thinks. This literally is a show going on in Washington, D.C., and it has nothing to do with the fucking country. Like, there's literally a show going on. I mean, yeah, we're feeling the effects clearly, but there's something going on behind the scenes. Like, you can't deny that. There's something going on in Washington, D.C. that's going on behind the scenes, because what they're putting in front of us, as far as like if Joe Biden talking or Kamala Harris or whoever, that's bullshit. We know they're puppets. There's something going on behind the scenes. I don't know whether it's good or bad, nefarious, whatever intentions, but I'm just throwing it out there too. Let's see, like a couple seconds left of this video.
Federal Reserve's historical performance has matched the vision of its conceptual founders, both at Jekyll and in Congress, and what the Fed's near 100-year track record offers for its role going forward.
Yeah, destroy. Why you think the comments are turned off? Because you know people would say a lot of shit, man. People would saying a lot of shit about this. A lot of shit about this, because we know that these central banks destroy economies. They destroy countries, fiat currencies. So how the money works, and you know, I had the Treasury website up open too. I should have read it. I believe the U.S. Treasury is the one that prints the money, and then the Federal Reserve controls the supply of the money. But they say they don't control it if they still follow what the executive branch and I believe the Congress says. But who knows, man? 'Cause a lot of people are shady as shit, man. So it's like, okay, yeah, where you say? It kind of sounds like a lie. There's one other video I want to show you guys. Here is this it? Okay, this is from Khan Academy. And they seem to have good videos.
Let's take a look at a United States $1
It's Khan Academy. We're talking about commodity versus fiat money.
bill. What is it that gives this thing value? Food that you can eat or things that you can use and things of hard value, but what is it about this little piece of paper that makes it valuable? Or I guess it's not paper, is it? It's cotton, something like that, right?
Yeah,
but the question
used to be made on
right? Like,
hemp.
what makes this flimsy little thing that doesn't seem to have any use in its own right valuable? Well, one kind of interesting exercise is to step back in time a little bit and take a look at what the very, very first United States dollars looked like. So I have here one of the very first that was printed, and let's zoom in on it and kind of read some of the words associated with it.
One silver dollar.
So if we zoom in, let's just say towards the very top here, notice that it says silver certificate.
Yes.
Silver certificate up here at the top. So what does that mean? Well, if we zoom out a little bit, it says that this certifies that there has been deposited in the Treasury of the United States of America, and then the sentence kind of continues.
So
in an
1 for
awkward
1
way
exchange.
below. $1 silver dollar payable to the bearer on demand. So what that means, what this dollar originally represented, was the fact that you were going to be able to turn in this bill for a silver dollar. This piece of paper, in theory, could be turned in to the United States Treasury, which guaranteed that it had in its deposits a silver dollar, an actual piece of silver. And I'll show what one of those looked like.
So when the piece of paper was just a physical representation of what was actually physically in the bank, you know, the way it should be. I know, makes too much sense.
A moment, that it would return to you for this bill. So in a sense, what gave it value was this guarantee that you could turn it into silver if you wanted. So this way you could trade this with other people as if it was a piece of silver. Because if you gave it to someone, that person, now being the bearer on demand, could then, in theory, turn this in and get a silver dollar as a result. And the reason for even having this paper money and printing these bills...
Notice he said in theory, because most of the time, I mean, who is actually going to go do that? You just, once again, everybody just kind of went off faith.
Was pretty inconvenient to always lug around actual pieces of silver and actual pieces of metal. And this would be especially true in the case of even higher amounts. So for example, here we have a $10,000 bill, something you don't really see too often.
Oh shit, I didn't even know there was a $10,000 bill. Get the fuck out of here. Who is on it? Let's see how it says a gold certificate. $10,000 in gold payable to the bearer on demand as authorized by law. Not no legal tender shit. Authorized by law.
Zoom in and kind of see the guarantees that are written on this guy. It's actually very similar, but this is instead in gold instead of silver. It says that $10,000 in gold are payable to the bearer on demand as authorized by law. So kind of legally backing up the idea that this could be turned in for $10,000 worth of gold. So that way people could actually treat this as if it was, $10,000 worth of gold without having to lug around that much money. So what is it that you actually got when you turned in, for $1 silver or something like that? What is it that was payable on demand? Well, you have what's another form of money, what you can use in commerce and kind of trade with people as a medium of exchange, officially United States money. But the difference is that the piece of money itself is the valuable metal. It actually is the silver. So in theory, if you, didn't trust the United States government anymore, you could melt it down for just the pure silver, and maybe other countries still value that silver. And similarly, there was gold coins.
That's because it's a free market. It doesn't stop you from engaging in trade within the country, across the country, within the state, across the country, across other states, as well as also international trade, because gold, silver will always be, sought after or viewed as a commodity. So remember, commodity money versus fiat money. Which one sounds better? There's a reason why you have your new Bretton Woods Agreement 2.0, because they're going back to commodity, because it's like, yeah, this shit ain't working. But guess what? They already knew the shit wasn't fucking working when they made it anyways.
Like this that people would use. Like this right here is a gold coin worth $2.50. So this is something where the value is held within it, because presumably people value gold. And even if this didn't have a fancy, United States symbol all stamped onto it, it would be something valuable because it's gold. And this kind of money, this, gold coins or these silver coins, has a special kind of name. It's called commodity money. Let's see, commodity money. And basically what this means is that the thing that you're using for money, the thing you're trading around, has some value in its own right. Even if it wasn't money, it would still be something valuable. This word here, commodity, basically means just anything valuable. It could not only be, silver or gold, but things like food or furniture or
your personal data.
These are commodities. And you could argue that silver and gold aren't valuable other than the fact that people just like using them for trading. I mean, they're kind of pretty and useful for jewelry, and there's some electronics that use them. But on the whole, the main reason that people value silver and gold is because they're used for trading. It's kind of because other people value them. So it's a little bit weird that these are the quintessential examples of commodity money, when in fact other commodities, like wheat or oranges, feel much more, real, hard, valuable, something you can use in its own right than the pieces of metal.
So nevertheless, when he said that wheat and stuff like that, so we're going into now when we're talking about digital currency, what we're really talking about is one blockchain ledger, cryptocurrency, cryptography, having because we're talking about transferring ones and zeros across the internet, it needs to be encrypted. You don't want nobody to hack in and steal that data as it travels across the network. Also, when we're talking about commodities and being able to tokenize different things, so he's saying wheat and stuff like that. So what happens when you have a tokenized economy that is going on a digital blockchain ledger? Being able to tokenize wheat crops, right? Being able to tokenize land. Being able to tokenize things. So now you have the digital representation of this actual physical commodity that has real value. Because that's where we should be at anyways. But these people have been too busy trying to rip the rest of the world off and stuff, and all these little bankers and all these different things and all this little fake fiat money, Ponzi scheme and stuff like that. In order for the civilization to really evolve, even if they want to go into their little globalization and stuff like that, and we're talking, especially when we're talking about colonizing the solar system, you got to go along with digital money, because, well, kind of hard to be carrying or be having money in space and shit. I don't know how I'm gonna carry dollar bills and stuff like that if I'm going to Mars. I guess you still can do that, but people on Mars, they're like, we don't have these dollar bills over here. What else you got? We won't accept this. So thus also comes into play, yet again, XRP. You're going to need a bridge currency asset. You can call reserve currency you want to, but essentially what we're saying is something that will be a unique medium of exchange that everyone can accept, and because it can go in and out within its own ledger and be be interoperable. There you go. That's the word that they use on Ripple's website. Interoperability is the key thing. we're going to the future. The fucked up thing is we're so far behind, we should already been in this shit. Bitcoin been around since 2008, supposedly. Probably been around but even before then. 2009, I don't even know. So we should already been there, but we're not. That is the real question. Why are we not already at this stage of tokenization, of tokenizing land, assets, physical commodities, and using that as an actual part of our economy and our mediums of exchange? Why are we not there yet? What is holding us back? It's almost like it's all done, once again, by design. Or everyone's a fucking idiot. Whatever.
These are commodities. And the other form of money here, where you have something that you could in theory exchange to a bank, and then the bank would return to you, the actual silver that it represents, the commodity that it represents, in this case, silver. These are called commodity-backed money. Commodity-backed.
There you go.
Because their value is being backed up by the value of whatever commodity they represent.
That's the only
another
financial
term that you might
thing
hear
that
for
makes
them is
sense.
representative money, because they are representing another good, representative. In this case, silver or gold. But in the early days of money, like thousands of years ago, you would have representative money like the shekel, which represented a certain weight of barley. So it doesn't just have to be silver or gold. Sometimes you have money that represents a different sort of commodity. So commodity-backed, representative. This is the kind of like old style United States or other countries' money. A lot of people had commodity-backed money. But in modern terms, it's common not to have either of those. You just have this bill that's not backed up by silver. You could not turn this in and get silver as a result.
Pause this real quick to see. Look at the dollar. Look at the dollar, bro. It just says Federal Reserve note, $1. $1. What the fuck does $1 mean? It doesn't say it's one silver dollar. It doesn't say you can exchange it for something of silver. It doesn't say anything. It just says $1. And I know it says, right underneath the United States of America, it says this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. What the fuck does that even mean? Nothing, really. Nothing. It just says, you can use this to pay off debts. Or it's legal tender. It doesn't say it's money. It doesn't say it's commodity. It doesn't say of any real value. Legal tender. Legal tender. And I read you the definition of legal tender status from the Treasury.gov website based on the Act of 1965, the Coinage Act. It's fake money, man. It's fake money. It's monopoly. It's monopoly money. Monopoly money, man. I hate to break it to some people, but that's all it is, man. It's a game. Once again, they're playing. They're your so-called social elites or economic elites, whatever. People are playing a different game than the rest of us. You want to know why it's hard to attain wealth for some people in poverty? Because you don't understand what actual game you're playing. These people are playing a different game. Because when you realize money is fake and you're just moving stuff around, well, now you start to think the way these Wall Street bankers think. That's why they got mad at that Wall Street bets. Because like, whoa, how dare you do the shit that we do? Who told you you could play the game this way? Oh, I'm sorry. You showed us how to play the game, so we thought we'll join on. Why not? You're making money. Why can't we?
This is termed fiat money. Fiat money. And this word fiat kind of means a decree or a declaration. So it's like the United States government has declared that this is money. And just by declaring that it's money, presumably that gives its value. So it kind of feels much more hollow in comparison to, commodity money or commodity-backed money. But there's a couple hard things backing this up. One of them, if we kind of zoom in on some of the words here, if we go, you see that it says, this note is legal tender. So here I'll write that down. This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. And I talked about the idea of legal tender in the last video and how that actually, gives a little bit of clout to this being valuable as long as you trust that the government will enforce its laws as it claims that it will. But
a lot of
for the
faith,
most
right?
part, what makes this stuff valuable is the fact that other people trust it, right? The reason that you value having a dollar bill is because you can give it to most people and they are willing to trade you valuable things for it.
The biggest
thing,
though, what happens when no one trusts it? So when you talk about U.S. debt, as which I showed you guys earlier, the USdebt.org, what happens when the people that we owe debt, China, Europe, or not Europe, London, I believe, the UK, or England. Shit, I said about 3 different things. City of London is its own separate place too. Same as DC is its own separate place. It's your city states. Just something we should probably talk about as well, huh? Same as the Vatican City. Probably owe debt to them. And so as the United States government owes debt to all these different countries, governments, these entities, stuff like that. What happens when all of a sudden they say, you know what, we don't trust y'all no more. We don't trust your money. It's not in good faith. Remember the IMF, the New Bretton Woods Agreement 2.0. No one believes and no one has faith in the dollar. Hell, the U.S. government doesn't have faith in its own money. So what happens when they all say, you know, we don't believe in this shit no more? Then what happens? Does hyperinflation set in? How long does it take for it to set in? How long does it take for the value of the dollar not to mean anything? I mean, it's already decreasing right in front of your eyes. You just don't know it. Because when you look at your bank account, you just see the numeric numbers. Thinking, okay, yeah, I got money. This $100 in my bank account is still $100. You know, the $100 in your bank account this year was not the same $100 in your bank account last year. It's funny. It's funny, right? It's horrible too.
That's what was making, silver dollars or these $10,000, gold notes valuable, because almost no one would actually trade it in for the silver, because why would you? It's just as good, and it's a little bit more convenient to just trade around the bill itself. So once that's actually in the psychology of a society, and once everyone kind of is used to the idea of trading around this paper representative money in order to be able to get things of value, it's not actually a huge leap to just have the paper that you're trading around as long as everyone else trusts it. And it still serves those functions of money that I talked about in previous videos. It's a medium of exchange, and you can store this for value, right? The paper's not going to degrade. It's something you can store, and it does give a unit of value, assigning a number to various goods out there. But
although
it is
the paper has no longer the same value because of COVID-19. Last year it was like, oh, a lot of places now, what they do, oh, we don't accept cash because we're worried about COVID-19. We're worried about coronavirus being on this money. We're worried about, oh, we got a coin shortage, so we don't have any more coins. So yeah, we can't give it out anymore. All done by design.
Something that was declared. It's not an actual hard good. And this is kind of an important distinction to recognize, is that fiat money really does mean it's just trusted. It's just taken on faith that people will find this valuable. But for that matter, that's also true of silver and gold, right? Like, it's just taken on faith that if you melted down the silver, other people would find that valuable. And same goes for gold. And in fact, in some, even though a lot of Western cultures valued gold a lot, there were other cultures that they might find, like in Asia, that didn't value gold in the same way and just thought, oh, why is everyone getting all up in a fuss about this fancy metal? So this idea of having money that we use basically because we trust that others will find it valuable isn't actually that absurd. And as long as it serves those same 3 basic functions of money, you can have a working society.
Oh, you lost me with that one. It's not that absurd. Yeah, it is, bro. Once again, there's value in gold. There's value in gold. You just said it's in our electronics. I'm sorry. I know this video is 2016, but everywhere you look, there's fucking electronics, right? So you probably need some gold to go into that. And if you're able to produce that gold, then it kind of gives your economy some value, right? Your currency some value. Silver as well. Hell, some of you got gold and silver fillings. I got silver fillings. A little too much cavities, a little too much sugar, then brush your teeth good enough. Hey, next thing you know, you got fillings. I want to see what comments they say in this. Fiat money is backed by men with guns. That's true. The dollar value literally depends on the reputation of the country. It's based on faith. It's funny that fiat, F-I-A-T, and faith, F-A-I-T-H. Huh. That's interesting as well. Although fiat might be a Latin term, but faith probably would be as well. Interesting, right? Probably just another one of those coincidences. Fiat money is debt. It has negative value. The dollar is used to be great, backed up by physical gold now. Okay, the dollar, it used to be great, backed up by physical gold. Now it is only backed by the government, good faith. I think I want the gold back. Like, I'm pretty sure I'd rather have we are human beings. We still want some type of physical thing, right? We still want some type of physical representation. We still need something. And even if there's is it intrinsic value, I want to say, even if the actual physical use case is not that great, it's still better than, I don't know, nothing. Right? It's still better than nothing. Bring back gold and silver. It said this video may make thorough research on stocks more and have been investing. Okay, maybe make, okay, whatever. False gold can't be printed, and unlike fiat, cash will be inflated as long as it's not linked to a commodity. And there you go. There you go, from CONN user. So there you go, right there. Because essentially, what we're talking about when we're talking about fiat currency and stuff like that, is that it's all in faith, but you can print unlimited money. And if you can print unlimited money, then you can't just increase the supply like that if there's no actual demand for it. So if there's no actual demand for the US dollar and currency around the world, and they're trying to move away from the US dollar as far as reserve currency, also because, US dollar is used as a weapon to put upon sanctions of different countries around the world. People are like, I'm not doing this shit. Fuck you, US. Fuck you, United States. We're not playing this game with y'all, which they should. So if we're talking about globalization, which globalization is going to happen regardless. My thing is, I'd rather it be by choice as opposed to by force. That's it. Because by force, that means controlled and dictated by people that I don't fucking know and I don't agree with. But if it's by choice and we all kind of go along the same way, that means we can have open discussions, open debates. It's one thing if something doesn't go my way and it's been forced upon me. It's another thing if something doesn't go my way and we sat and talked about it and stuff like that. And I'm like, all right, whatever. I can see your point of view. I don't like it, but I'm okay with it. There's a difference. That's still discourse, right? That's us having debates. That's us going back and forth. That's humanity. That's how you evolve as a species, as a collective. Because you're focusing on the individuals as well as recognizing the collective. So the thing, when you're talking about printing unlimited money with fiat, you're talking about $1.9 trillion of a COVID-19 relief package. It all sounds great, but you just pump it up more and more money. Like, that doesn't sound like a good idea. There needs to be some type of limit because that is what maintains its value when there's a limit. The reason why Bitcoin has value is because, one, is used as a store of value, but mainly because you can only have 21 million ever created. That's it. So the value comes in its limited supply, demand. Basic economics. The reason why they won't teach you this in school, in elementary, in middle school, in high school, not even in college, unless you take a statistics class or something like that, or microeconomics or macroeconomics class. And then you have to kind of go into accounting or finances and even take those classes, or be in business. Even though these are not business practices, these are basic fundamentals, basic fundamental knowledge that every person should have when you're working in a modern society. Hell, if you're a fucking farmer, you should understand the micro and macroeconomics, which I'm sure they do, without a goddamn school. Because these are things that we really should be learning and really should be teaching and understanding. These are the things when my kids get home from school, like, all right, we got a lesson for today. And they know it. And they're excited because they know what they learn in school is some bullshit. Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it's not. But they know there's other things out there that we don't know about. And it's part of my job as a parent to help raise them and drop some knowledge on them. But why stop there? Why not share whatever knowledge I have with other people? Because all I'm doing is reading the shit that's on the internet. Because, ignorance is a choice now. All the information in modern human history, or recorded human history, modern recorded human history rather, is on the internet. For the most part. So get your ass on there and look it up and find something, whatever you gotta do. But yeah, so we were talking about fiat currency. The thing that gets people in trouble is the unlimited printing. And that's exactly what the United States government is doing. So as you get excited about your $1,400 checks that might come in this weekend, know that, you know what? This doesn't even sound like. my best advice, and you know what? And as I say advice, I'm not saying, oh, you should do this. I'm not, what I'm going to do, if I can, hopefully I can, and be able to manage the money, is one, obviously you either pay off your debts, pay off your bills and stuff like that. First and foremost, make sure you got a roof over your head, make sure you got food in the kitchen and stuff like that. But if you try to put some of that into some assets, talked about Uphold Inc. You're able to buy gold and silver on there. You're able to buy cryptocurrency. You're able to buy other fiat currencies, which are questionable as well. Bitcoin, get a couple of Satoshis. If you can, get a whole Bitcoin, whatever the case may be. Buy some XRP, buy something, invest in something other than the US dollar and just having your money in the savings account. Me personally, that's what I don't have a savings account. I don't put my money in the savings account because, well, I have money in the savings account and I watch that money not go no fucking where. Meanwhile, if I put it in cryptocurrency, I put it even into stocks, I'll watch my money go up. Because even if my money is increased by $1, that's $1 more than what I had when I put the goddamn money in there. That's a win. I don't know about you, but I like my small victories. I like my small victories. Because a victory is a victory. I'll take a win. Once again, it's a sports analogy, a sports reference rather. I'll take the win, man. Hey, I got the win. I'll take it. I'll take it. So as you get your money and stuff and pay it, and you're seeing, oh, this and that, try to invest in something. Invest in some type of asset. Invest in something. Don't just stick in your savings account like, oh, this looks good. Either pay off your debts, pay off your bills, or stick it in there. Obviously, debt is debt. You can't pay money off it with debt anyways, but once again, you kind of stuck in the system, right? You can't control everything, so you focus on the things that you can control. I can't bring down the U.S. government. If I could, I would. Shit, I shouldn't have said that. I said it anyway. If I could take down the U.S. government, I would. In a sophisticated, civilized manner, rather. Let's put it like that. There you go. Don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me, government. If I can, make you guys a little bit smaller, or about 90% smaller, in a more civilized, sophisticated manner, through legal means too, as well, I would do it. That's all I'm gonna say. Let's put it like that. That's yeah. I probably said shit you're not supposed to say anyway. But guess what? This is what this podcast is all about. Saying things you're not supposed to say because, God damn it, someone needs to say it. That's it. So yeah, do something with that money. Invest in some assets. Pay off your debts. Put money up as far as put money aside to pay off future things. Now, there's a difference between a savings account and having emergency funds. So when people put their money in a savings account, they're looking for interest. You put your money aside and have stuff set aside for emergencies, in case the government decide, or your local government or whatever decide to say, oh, you know what, we're going to lock us down again, especially those that overseas, the UK, Europe area, stuff like that. Every time I turn around, you guys getting locked down. I don't know to tell y'all. It's kind of shitty when you think about it, but actually it's not kind of, it really is. It's really fucked up. But yeah, definitely do something with that money. And even those, obviously, if you're outside the United States, definitely find some way to invest into some assets, some actual assets. Even if it's a tokenization or digital representation of a physical asset, find some way to invest in the asset, get some land, do something. Do something where that money can increase in value. And it doesn't have to increase by double the amount or tenfold. Even if it increases just a little bit, it's a little bit more than what you had the day before. And that's all that matters. As always, the podcast live stream on DLive, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If the time changes, I'll send out a notification. I'll say I'm going to do it a later time or something like that, blah, blah, blah. Check me out on my website, Damian Jackson 22. Up in the top right corner, you'll see a little link that says social media and podcast links. That way you can find me on my social media, my YouTube, Odyssey. You find different links to where you can listen to the podcast, audio version, blah, blah. Upload the video version of the podcast to YouTube and Odyssey immediately after. And when I say immediately, I mean as long as my computer doesn't fuck me over and doesn't take forever. And also YouTube, as it takes 30, 40 goddamn minutes to scrub all of my video before I upload it. it uploads fine, but then it takes like 30 minutes to process. Okay, whatever, YouTube. Cool. Odyssey does it in less time, and they have way less infrastructure than YouTube, Google, Alphabet Inc. has. But whatever. So definitely check me out on all those different things. Hope you enjoy your day. Hope you enjoy your weekend. All that good stuff. If you can't get out, enjoy the sunlight. Enjoy time with family and friends. Spread love, good things, positivity, blah, blah, blah. So until next time.